Hello, everybody, and welcome to our newest edition of the All About People sessions. My name is Irene, and I am the Culture Ambassador here at Imperiall. Today, we have with us one of our neighbors. He is the fish guy, also known as Kurt Harrington. Hi, Kurt, how are you?
Irene, I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here today.
I'm so happy you could join us today. So, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. I want to start from the beginning. I know that you started your business when you were 15 years old.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about how so young, how did you know that's what you wanted to do? What motivated you?
You know, it's interesting. I think some of the best businesses start by accident. I had no idea that I was starting a business at 15. I had a hobby of aquarium keeping as a kid and just needed to earn a few dollars to buy my first car as I was approaching 16 years old. So it wasn't like a mindset of, hey, I'm starting a business. It was a means to an end. And quite honestly, that was an objective to earn a few dollars and then save some money for college. And then I would go on to, whatever I was going to do after college. And that's how the business got started.
Wow, amazing. When did you officially start the business?
So, I mean, legitimately, when I was 15, it was the fish tank cleaning service.
Okay.
Today, Something Fishy, but the fish tank cleaning service with letterhead and paper business cards was when I was 15. So,
wow.
But it was, I didn't see it. The vision that you were living today was more when I was about 17 years old. So I was still in high school, and on my way to college is when I really determined, wow, I don't just clean aquariums. I'm the CEO of the fish tank cleaning service, and a company of one. So that's kind of when I started to shift and look at business development and entrepreneurship, and that's when I really dove in.
All right, and I'm assuming that this is why you pursue a degree in business administration?
Yes.
Yes. So tell me, how did you balance running the business at the same time that you were going to school?
So I went I'll back up to high school. When I was a junior in high school, going into my senior year, I had heard about a program called it was a school to work program, and you could basically get high school credit for going to work. So I went to my guidance counselor and I said, tell me more about this. And knowing that when I was going into my senior year, I had gotten all my core requirements out of the way in my previous 3 years of high school. So the only thing that I actually was required to do in my senior year was English and gym. Those are the two requirements.
Wow.
I had my math and my other language courses and everything. So I basically could fill my schedule with, other electives that were not that critical. So I went to my guidance counselor. I said, can I do the school to work program? He's like, oh, that's managed by the career and tech school next door. Go over there and talk to them. I go over there and they're like, oh, career and tech's school to work program are for people that aren't going to college. And since you're college bound, you can't do it. So I went to my principal. Our school was about 1,000 kids, so 250 or so in my class.
Oh.
And I went to the principal and I was, after school got out in June, prior to my senior year, and I had a suit on, and I walk in their office, I tell them who I am, and they're like, we know who you are, and they basically knew what I wanted, so they said, describe how it would work, and I did. Like, I want to go to school, come in for English and gym, and then I want to go run my business, and I'll come back 1 or 2 days a week in the afternoon because I'm the president of Future Business Leaders of America, and I need to run that club. And they're like, okay, you can do it. And I basically was able, with no supervision, to go run my business with a business teacher kind of assigned to oversee the program that we created. And when the oversight was minimal because I was so interactive with my business teacher about what was going on in the business, they knew I was really doing the work. And that year as a senior in high school, I made $50,000 cleaning aquariums.
Wow.
So balancing in my as a senior in high school, basically that was 1997. That's what most people, the median income was lower than that, and I had done that going into college. So I was able to juggle that. I would work all the time, and then I went into college, and I did college for 2 years, juggling hiring people and training people, And my second year, going into my third year, I decided I needed to take. I had gotten a big contract with Foxwoods Resort Casino.
Wow.
And it required us to be there every single day of the year. So I decided to hire and train more people, and I needed to take a semester off to do that. So I was taking the winter semester in the summer, and then I would go back to class. I never went back to school after that. So,
wow.
And that was how I don't know that I balanced it that well.
Well, you evaluated what you needed and what was good for your business. And if you already had that experience and you had to train people.
Right.
Yeah, and you can always go back to school.
That's correct.
If you wanted to. So Something Fishy has grown strategically over the years. Can you share some of the key decisions or strategies that you will say were pivotal to your success?
Oh, there's a ton. I think the strategy is important, and strategy is definitely a contributing factor to where we're at today. But I do think that's secondary to just rolling up your sleeves and just getting started and just doing it hard work. Listen, entrepreneurship and owning a business, it is not for someone that is looking for anything but a roller coaster ride with lots of ups and downs, lots of challenges. The faint of heart should not be in the realm of entrepreneurship. And that's probably why, relatively, there are a few entrepreneurs in this world that legitimately are growing, strategically growing and scaling companies. So I think one is just the grit and being able to have the grit and grind to do whatever it takes, including when you don't know what you're doing. So that's important if you're going to grow. And there's a lot of businesses out there that might be business owners who aren't necessarily entrepreneurs. Like if you're an electrician and you put a plaque on the wall that says ABC Electrical Services, and you basically are a business of one, and you stay that way your whole life, you basically bought yourself a job, and that's fine. You make your schedule, there's benefits to that. That's not growing a business, right? So the grit that I talked about is really part one, and having that. And then it comes to strategy. And I didn't know when I was 15, 17, 20, even 25, really what strategy meant and how to develop it. Mm-hmm. It's very, strategy is a hard thing to get your arms around. I can tie it to dreams and visions. That's kind of the easy part. It's the execution side. But I will say that that turning point at 17, and realizing that I actually had a business, I did sit down and wrote a business plan. And if I read that business plan to you today, there's a lot of similarities in what we're doing.
Wow.
That started 25 years ago in that business plan, and it talks about how what we would do as a company was really about how aquariums benefit people and community, and the results that aquariums drive energy and influence in an environment and increase productivity. And so in our building of the strategy around what we do is unique, because most people that sell aquariums sell glass tanks, pumps, fish, corals, heaters, et cetera. We don't sell that. We sell a lifestyle of having an aquarium in an office environment, a hospitality environment, or in a place like healthcare. Obviously is a huge market for us because of the healing benefits. That's what we're selling. Wow. And when we took the strategy of that's what was, the results of what an aquarium does for, and why I was a hobbyist, like why was it so appealing, that tying that into our strategy and then growing a business around that has really contributed to our success and being a differentiator for us compared to peer companies.
Wow, I love that. I had no idea of all the influence that having a fish tank. The little one that we have here in the office has absolutely changed us. Like everybody's got to do something with it,
sure.
And we all want to feed. We're going to feed them, and it becomes like a team activity. It
is incredible. And you're speaking about an office environment. I also love the environment in senior living communities, as the older population starts to need to be cared for, so they're growing into assisted living or skilled nursing. Innately people want to care for things, you care for your children, your pets, like the fish that you're talking about here in the office, and each other. Well, when you need to go into a home and you are being cared for, that urge to care for something doesn't go away. So you need to have like purpose and responsibility. And we have like these little vases with one fish in it. And it's simple, it's extremely affordable, but we use those in senior living communities to give residents purpose in their own room, something to care for. And we'll come in every 2 weeks and do like a cleaning, but we teach them, here's how you feed the fish, talk to the fish throughout the day. And it becomes meaningful. That's what you're talking about is happening in your office. And that example I just gave in senior living communities, that's what it's all about.
Wow, incredible. I love that. You are the first cohort, if I'm not mistaken, from a program called the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses. Can you tell me a little bit about that experience and how that impacted your business? Because from what you've told me so far, you were already on the track to like knowing what you want. I mean, writing a business plan at 17, that's insane. I mean, most 17 years old are not even thinking about that.
Yeah, it's a great question, and what an amazing program. So I believe it was 2017 or 2018 when the program was brought to Rhode Island by our governor, who really worked hard to get the program here. Apparently she had heard about the program through her connections and realized, hey, this can help Rhode Island. And she was right. It's a phenomenal program, and I have a lot of respect for the effort she put into bringing it to our state. The way that I heard about it was our mayor in the city of Warwick had learned about the program and recommended that I check it out, or recommended me for the program. So I went and looked at kind of the syllabus and what the program was about, which is like writing a business plan and putting a growth plan together. And there were a lot of things that are extremely important for businesses. The syllabus outlined things that you should be doing in your business. There were things like people management and culture. And I looked at the syllabus and I was like, we have a pretty established business that's doing a lot of these things. And even to an extent, for being a small company, we're doing a lot more of it than most companies of our size. So I went through the interview process, and really one of my feedback to them was like, this is an intriguing thing. I love the concept. I just don't know that the commitment of time for how established we are, that's a worthwhile investment. And they said, one of the things that would be beneficial is to have more experienced people in the group, because we can all help each other and we all learn from each other. And that's really all it took. And I knew it was a good thing for the state. So I figured, even if I don't personally leave with any gain, but I can contribute to our community, it's worthwhile. So I jumped all in. It was the first cohort, and the program was phenomenal. I gained a lot from it, more than I expected as I was questioning it through the interview process. And it's just business, like I said when we started, business is challenging. It's hard. And there are a lot of people that start businesses and don't know, it's that electrician that is then a one-man show chasing his or her tail, and they just don't know what the next steps are. Goldman Sachs program kind of lays the program out for you, and if you follow the classes and the steps and you execute on that, you're going to grow your organization if you want to, and you're willing to put the hard work in.
It sounds like it's a lot of work.
It definitely is.
I love the fact that even though you were already on track and you knew most of the things that were in there, that invitation of like, well, if you know more, then maybe you can share with the rest of the people. So I love that it's a community effort, just like helping each other up instead of, stepping over each other. It
is. And I'll tell you one thing that was a big takeaway. For whatever reason, a lot of the growth in my business strategically and in the strategy, while I was very open and shared it with the team, I was always the driver behind that. And when I was in the Goldman Sachs program, I realized that the team that I had in working and running the business and handling customer service and administrative stuff and bookkeeping, and that I could actually task them to work on the strategy of the company along with me. So some of the tasks or homework we had in Goldman Sachs, I literally would come back from a 4-hour or 8-hour class, and then the next week my team collectively would work on that. And so one of the benefits that I got is it really pushed me to delegate some of that to my team, which helped them grow, which obviously a rising tide rises all boats. So as they grew, we all collectively grew together.
Wow. Yeah, delegating responsibilities is very hard, especially when you have started from basically zero by yourself. That's a great learning experience. So you got more than just learning about how to manage a business from that experience.
Absolutely. Managing a business. I mean, this isn't the most important takeaway, but there's a networking opportunity. There are a lot. The Goldman Sachs program here in Rhode Island, and I'm sure in other regions as well, it's very well connected both to state influencers and politicians that help move our state forward, and then the business community. So between the two, you're not very far away from being able to be introduced to whatever it is that you need, whether that's banking or or just a consultant in a strategy area or buying another business. And there's been businesses, I'm sure, through the program that have merged and acquired each other within the group and form partnerships just to maybe create new things together.
Yeah, amazing. I love that sense of community. Going back to what you were saying a minute ago, it caught my attention when you were talking about how aquariums are also very important environmentally speaking. I know that you have a partnership with Mystic Aquarium. That is incredible. How this collaboration came about, and what do you think for you and for the aquarium have been the most important outcome out of this partnership?
Great question. Mystic Aquarium is an incredible organization, probably a well-kept secret in our region. I know a lot of people are aware of it, but there's a lot that aren't. And more importantly, even the people that are aware of it aren't aware what Mystic Aquarium is really all about. So my relationship with Mystic Aquarium started when I was in high school, and one of my teachers advised me that there was an internship opportunity at the aquarium. So every Friday, this is while I was a senior in school and running the business, I would leave school and go and volunteer at Mystic Aquarium, and that I really learned a lot about the inner workings around the aquarium itself, and how to take care of aquariums. And kind of an interesting example, I talked earlier about the work I did at Foxwoods Resort Casino. Mm-hmm. Well, I basically got a job that was bigger than I could ever have imagined, probably a little bit over my head. So I was able to pick up the phone and call the curator and the people that lead Mystic Aquarium's technical aspects of maintaining all their aquariums. Now I'm maybe 18, 19 at the time. Wow. And I called them and I was like, I just got this contract. I won the contract, and it was a competitive contract. And now I don't know what to do. So, I had two senior people at the aquarium come over and show me, in and out the workings of this very large aquarium system at the casino. And then after that, I handed them a check, as a thank you, right? Mm-hmm. And they quickly, mailed it back to me and said, it is, as an organization within our community, Mystic Aquarium, this is just what we do. Like and I was a volunteer there. We can't accept any kind of payment like that, right? And they're out for the good of and the betterment of our community and our oceans environment. So that was the early beginnings. And a couple years later, we collaborated on a project. It always kind of stayed in touch after my volunteering years, and if there was a project or something they needed, say that they wanted to build a new aquarium and they didn't have the staff or the resources to get it done internally, they would outsource that to us. Well, we did a collaboration for a third party a few years later. I think it was 2008, and it was a huge project. And based on the results of that project, Mystic Aquarium hired us as to come in and oversee an entire department at a time. They needed just interim oversight, mm-hmm. With an area that oversees all the aquariums, and obviously that was our specialty. So we went in on a temporary basis. I think it was a 3 to 6 month contract, and we were there for 3 years under that contract. So you just, exceed client expectations, deliver more than is expected, and things like that can happen. And then through the work we were doing there, of course, while we were there, doing what was determined under our agreement, we're also looking at other things and saying, hey, here's some ideas, or and so idea sharing and building relationships there led us into exhibit design and development and planning. So we did that for a number of years, and then I've more recently, probably 5 or 6 years ago, I was asked to join the President's Council at the aquarium, which is basically where I spend my time now with the aquarium and collaborating on that's more like strategic planning and kind of future growth of the aquarium and making sure that it's also that we're spreading the word about what Mystic Aquarium does. And it's just been phenomenal. I mean, the research and the education that they provide and the amount of conservation for our ocean. And it's not just local either. It's both nationally and even a global presence on what they're doing is quite incredible. We're right now, one of our significant efforts is to look at our business obviously is in, or part of our business has coral reefs that we maintain. And the coral reefs, obviously, that we're maintaining are in captivity, but there's a lot of harm right now to coral reefs in their native environments, and a lot of it's due to like temperature increases in the water, some conditions that are right now out of our control. So we're in the middle of fundraising and building a lab at Mystic Aquarium to be able to study the coral deterioration issue that's happening primarily in the Florida track and other areas of the world as well, and to see, is there something like we might not be able to change quick enough the environment? Like water temperature is hard to change in the volume of our oceans, particularly as quick as we need it to, if that's one of the impacts. But it is possible with today's science and research that maybe we could change the genetics of some of these corals to make them more tolerant, for example. It's just a small example, layman terms. So what if we could take a coral from the ocean and genetically form a new version, if you will, that could be tolerate warmer temperatures, and then we could repopulate that new species or variation of the species in the ocean and redevelop our coral reefs. And you might think, well, that's great for divers and people that want to go on coral reefs, but what does it really matter? There's a lot of impact that coral reefs have for fishing population, and even large mammals that are in our oceans. The reefs have an impact. People have an impact. If our coral reefs and where they are deteriorating, you're seeing more erosion, which could mean your house could fall in the ocean.
Yeah, exactly.
So coral reefs prevent and help erosion. So there's a lot of benefits that people don't think about, and that's just a small example of the work that Mystic Aquarium is doing. You don't see if you go there for the entertainment value of seeing the displays, but what those guests are helping provide is the resources to be able to provide the research and the real work that happens behind the scenes.
Oh my God,
Kurt. So thanks for bringing that up. Sorry it was so long-winded, but
no,
Mystic
I'm
Aquarium.
Fascinated and definitely gonna look into that, because I know that coral reefs have been diminishing the population because of the temperature of the water. But just to put together a team of people to figure out if we can change their, genetically modify them in order for them to make them more resistant to environmental change, they are a source of housing for a lot of fish.
Yes, well said. That's very well said. So I think that we should rename this today, instead of all about the people, it should be all about the fish.
TM. That's hilarious. So you talk about building community and working together, and now learning how to delegate to your team, which means trusting them more. How do you cultivate and maintain the culture in your company?
Well, I wouldn't do it my way. If my way was being a 20-year-old entrepreneur and kid that expected everybody on this team to run at the same pace that I ran, and to have the work ethic and tolerance that I had, and to do it my way. And if that didn't happen, it was a yelling and screaming match, and so that's just like, I couldn't understand why, if I did it in 4 seconds, it took you an hour. Like, and you probably did it better than I did, but I still would get upset at it. And, the way that you handled, like, conflict management and just things that I didn't even understand, I learned through the school of hard knocks, right? So I did a lot of things wrong, and then I was probably about 25, and I was always into leadership development, professional development, and quite honestly, some of the biographies you'd read on entrepreneurs and some of the books made me drive even harder and drive my team even harder, because I'm like, this is what it took to grow those companies, and we should be doing this. But around 25, I started to realize that, team dynamics, you don't want all entrepreneurs on the same team. I'm a A personality, and that's not, you don't want to build a team of A personalities, because you need people to actually do the work behind the scenes. You need people that are slower and steadier, to be more methodical. And at the end of the day, I own a company that has marine biologists, which we want to be, they're science-based. They're the polar opposite of me. So I learned this through a personality profile and leadership development around the DISC personality test. Mm-hmm. And I really took to that. And Myers-Briggs has a version. I'm sure there's others as well, Strength Finders. And when I started digging into psychology of people, mm-hmm. And again, I was probably like 25, I was like, I really should have gone, A, should have stayed in college, and B, I should have done business and psychology, because business is all about people.
It's all about people.
The psychology of people. It doesn't matter what your product and service is always going to be executed by people. So you've got to figure that out. And unfortunately, I was 25 or several years into business before I started figuring that out. And probably about 30 before I started to dial it in. Mm-hmm. And so I started teaching that to our team, looking at how you, instead of telling people what to do, I started asking people more about their opinions and asking them what they want to do, and brought them into kind of why we do things. And that, as an entrepreneur, I don't want to take 20 minutes to explain why I need you to move this table from here to there. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to take 1 second and just say, move this table from there to there. But that's the wrong way to do it. And sometimes when you slow down and explain the why, in the long run, you'll have a better team, and the team will move more productively. So it took me going through my 20s to learn that the hard way. And then in my 30s, I started to develop a stronger team and really focus on culture within the organization and what that meant. And today you've seen our new showroom and our cool work environment. Yeah. And that's part of our culture too. Like, building, if you're gonna have the vibe of what aquariums do for an environment, we also need the environment around us to support that. So you gotta take care of your team and invest in your team, and build a strong culture. So it's been a long learning curve, but I think we're getting there.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it sounds fascinating just to be able to see all the progress that you've made from being 15 years old and just like trying to get money for a car.
Yes.
Until now, where you have a team of people that you want them to grow with you. And that brings me to my next question. And like you just said, I know that you open a different space, a co-working space there. What do you see your business growing into in the future? Like, what's the next step? Where do you want it to be?
So our core business is design, install, and maintain aquariums that move people in amazing ways. Aquariums move people in amazing ways from an office environment like we talked about, where we're increasing productivity within the office. We're creating a thinking environment where the aquarium in an environment kind of influences the energy that's required to come up with the next best idea, whether that's the next best drug that a pharmaceutical company is developing, or it's the next technology that's going to solve world problems, right? To the senior living communities, and healthcare and hospitals is such a great environment to have an aquarium in, because you want to people are often going through the most difficult time of their life, and having that soothing, kind of relaxing environment that an aquarium provides is important. So that's the core. That is our business. It's not just that's what we do.
Okay.
And over the years, we've gone into other things. Like we did a retail operation to support hobbyists in aquariums. We did outdoor water features, all of them successful. But to scale our business, we realized that we need to know what our core business is, and it's design, installing, and maintaining aquariums for people that hire us to do it for them.
Okay.
So our strategy and our future vision is to take that concept and to grow it into new markets. So last year we acquired a company in the Boston market. We were in the Boston market, but this gives us a physical presence in that area. And so we acquired a company that does what we're doing, and then that helps us expand more into that marketplace. And then we would do the same thing in other regions as well. You mentioned Social, which is a co-working space that we opened. Our co-working space is really part of I don't envision our company growing co-working as a core business. It's not even really a side business. We built a beautiful showroom and a beautiful place to work. And we wanted to expose our environment to people that were not expecting to see aquariums, which is a marketing ploy for us. That's it. So we're like, how do we do that? And we looked at a coffee shop, and if you had the general public coming in for coffee and then they see aquariums. So obviously a coffee shop couldn't be called Something Fishy. I don't know how many people would walk into that. And then we looked at the benefits of a coffee shop, and then settled on really a space that could host events and people could collaborate in. So we looked at in our strategy planning, co-working in a membership-based co-working space, and it really was perfect. We're like, wait, this space we built for ourselves is perfect for other people to want to work in. And some of it also happened by accident when we were in the build out, and before we knew we were building our showroom, but we didn't know coffee shop or social, and those were kind of just some vague ideas. People would come in and be like, wow, what you're doing, I'd like to work here. And they were like, why don't we do this?
Exactly.
So we created Social, which is the brand of our showroom. So if you came into Social, which it would make sense if you want to get a coffee that you went to Social. If you wanted to go to a meeting, hey, meet me at Social, and we'll meet there.
Yeah.
And then same thing with hosting events. So now we have an environment where you can come in for $100 a month. You can have a membership to Social, and you have access to all the co-working space. And then if you want a conference room, conference rooms are used like 20% of the time. Why not maximize the other 80%? Mm-hmm. How do you do that? By renting it out. So, and again, these people that are coming in to use our space for a marketing meeting, or we've had celebrations of life, we've had birthday parties there, we've had the Rhode Island Dental Association has come in, Lifespan has come in. All of these people that are coming in to use the space because it's a cool environment are being exposed to our product. So A, we're making revenue off the memberships in the event space, and B, it's marketing. So it's a win-win.
It's beautiful.
So it really is just a aspect that belongs with Something Fishy. It's not a new business model to open up co-working spaces.
Wow, this makes so much sense. The few times that I've been there, I want to work there. We were thinking of moving our meetings over there. We will. Thank you so much, Kurt. This has been a fascinating conversation. I wish you all the success and congratulations. We're so proud of you. You've done so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And I hope that we can do this again in a couple of years, and then we'll see how you took over all the East Coast, for example.
That would be great. We'd welcome that.
And save the coral reefs.
Yes, for sure.
I'm definitely going to keep that on staff. And thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Again, my name is Irene, and I am the Cultural Ambassador here at Imperiall. We'll see you soon in another show of All About People sessions. Thank you. Bye.
Nice job.
Oh, yeah, thank you so much.
Well done.
Good. That was great.
Good.
I'm so glad you like my